So my name's Justin Ho. I work in the Amdocs Mobile Financial Services division, and I head up our product strategy and consulting within that division. So as you rightly said, there's a huge population in Asia and globally who are unbanked, and that's about 1.7 billion people globally who are unbanked but yet have a mobile phone. Now, since the start of the whole mobile money movement, we've now managed as an industry to bank about 200 million of those. So we've got a long way to go, and there's a huge opportunity that needs to be addressed. So the real challenge still to this day is, how do you solve the last mile of cash? So how do you really get the product out into the rural areas, into the places where the product is needed? And solving the last mile of cash is critical. So at Amdocs, we like to look at money as a commodity. So it's a commodity that needs to be treated just like Coke or Dove or some other fast-moving consumer commodity. And if we can solve that problem, and that's what we work on doing through our agent banking solution, is how do you really get money out to where it's needed? Banks today don't have that footprint. The way we do it is we work with an agent banking model to get that infrastructure out. So that's the first key thing. The second thing in terms of financial inclusion is people in emerging markets are really struggling to get out of the poverty cycle. And the struggle there is about being able to get access to credit at a reasonable rate. So for example, in Indonesia, I have people that I've spoken to who pay interest rates of anywhere between 32 to 122% per annum, which is crazy considering the low interest rate we're living in. So now it's about, how do you then give those people access to credit without having to need a traditional credit score? So looking at alternative ways of creating a financial footprint is really critical, so that banks and other institutions can then start to issue loans and working capital to people who need it through this agent banking network at the right cost point. Yeah, so it's a great question. Within those 1.7 billion people, how do we really get the services that we need to get to them? So, as I said before, it's really about getting access to those people in a cost-effective manner. So, if I'm a bank today, and I've been meeting with a number of banks in this meeting, we just don't know how to reach that market. So we can make a real difference by being able to get banks to get access to that market, so that they don't need to build those bank branches, they don't need to deploy the ATMs, they can use different ways of accessing them. You've seen recently in India at the end of last year where they changed the currency system. So I was actually in India at the time, on the very day that they said no more 1,000 rupee notes and no more 500 rupee notes. So immediately there was no cash in the system. That created a huge shift in behavior because people still had to do commerce. And so people started opening and using mobile wallets. Within India, we have a fantastic implementation between SBI and BSNL, where we're providing the mobile wallet infrastructure that allows SBI as a bank to reach out to the huge population of India in the most remote locations using the agent network that BSNL has, 1.5 million agents. And you just can't compare that. 1.5 million agents where you would be able to get access to financial services versus going to a bank. It's a completely different ballgame. So that was an example of how you can get the services out to everybody who needs to have access to financial services. Because if you think about, most people who'll be watching this video, they don't even think about the need to have a bank account. It's a very normal part of their daily life. They just have access to payment services and access to bank accounts. But for the huge 1.7 billion people out there who still don't have access to bank accounts, that's what we're trying to solve. That's what we are up to. For us, the customer experience, and you hear a lot about customer experience from different companies. For me, customer experience is really about understanding what is the challenge and applying applied product innovation principles to that. So when we work with our customers, we actually get out into the market and we go through a process of discovery, so discovering what is really happening in the market, and how do users want to use applications and interface to systems. So if you're talking to a farmer in Africa or a millennial in Singapore, they have very different expectations. So you just can't take generic expectations of user experience and consumer experience design and apply them. You need to get into those markets. So that's what we do. We go into the markets, we actually talk to people, we talk to consumers, we do the discovery, we do the ethnography, really understanding how consumer behavior is in that particular market. Then we go through the process of ideation and brainstorming and thinking what we can do to make the experience effective and convenient. We do prototyping from lo-fi, anything from drawing diagrams on cardboard through to full prototyping. We test that in the market and we aim to fail. We actually aim to fail and fail forward. So we want to learn very quickly what works and what doesn't work. And we want to find the failure points so that we can fail forward and then improve and improve and improve. So that's what we do about consumer experience. So for us, we love the show. We think it's been very successful. As you said, second year here. Our main objective is to get meetings with senior executives, and we've had a number of great meetings so far. We also did last year. What I love about this show is the combination of themes and tracks that you have. So you combine payments, you combine e-commerce, and you combine retail. And so you have a confluence of basically the merchants, the banks, payments, and commerce. And bringing those three factors together, for me, is very interesting and creates a different conversation. Thank you so much.